Welcome to all of you, Chemistry by Saad Anwar, and this is my WhatsApp number +923317913737. You can contact me via this WhatsApp number. I am providing my tutoring services across the globe. So today our topic is about solubility of salt. In this topic, we will learn which salt is soluble in water and which salt is not soluble in water. Here I have mentioned few important points. You have to memorize these points. These points will help you to understand about the solubility of salt. Remember, guys, remember, all nitrates are soluble in water. All nitrate salt are soluble in water. All nitrate salt are soluble in water. All ammonium salt are soluble in water. All all ammonium salt are soluble in water. All sodium and all potassium salts are soluble in water. Then remember about chlorides. Most chloride salts are soluble in water, but few chloride salts are not soluble in water. Most chloride salt are soluble in water. Most sulfate salt are soluble in water. Few sulfate salt are insoluble in water. Let me tell you the name of those salts which are insoluble in water later on. For right now, most chloride salt and most sulfate salts are soluble in water. Majority of carbonate salt are insoluble in water. Majority of carbonate salt are insoluble in water. Now, now I am going to explain these points with the help of table. Let me draw a table, guys. This is our next. You can take a screenshot of this page. This is our next page. So here, this is solubility. Here I will write those salts which are soluble in water. This is our central line. Oh, what happened with central line? Okay, this is our central line. And here I will mention the name of those salts which are insoluble. Insoluble salt. Here I will mention those salts which are insoluble. I have to write soluble salt here. Here I will write those salts which are soluble in water. Soluble salt in that column, insoluble salt in that column, right? So guys, remember, all nitrate salt are soluble. All nitrate salt are soluble. All ammonium salts are soluble. All ammonium salt are soluble. Right? And the next is all sodium and potassium salts are soluble. All sodium and potassium salts are soluble. All sodium and potassium salts are soluble. Okay, now most sulfates are soluble. Most sulfates are soluble. Most sulfate salt are soluble except few. Here in this column I am going to mention those sulfate salt which are insoluble, like barium sulfate. This is insoluble. Barium sulfate. This is insoluble. Barium sulfate. This is insoluble. Barium sulfate is also sulfate salt, but this is insoluble. Barium sulfate. This is insoluble. Then lead sulfate. This is insoluble. Lead sulfate. Lead sulfate. This is insoluble. PbSO4. Then calcium sulfate. This is insoluble. Calcium sulfate. This is insoluble. Calcium sulfate. This is insoluble. These three salts, barium sulfate, lead sulfate, calcium sulfate, these are sulfate salt, but they are insoluble in water. And all other sulfate salt are soluble. Okay, guys, the next is chloride. Most chloride. most chloride salts are soluble except few. And in that column, I will write the name of those chloride salts which are insoluble, like silver chloride insoluble. Silver chloride is a chloride salt, but this is insoluble. AgCl, its formula. The next is lead 2 chloride, lead 2, lead 2 chloride, lead 2 chloride, PbCl2, its formula. This is chloride salt, but this is insoluble in water. This is mercury 2 chloride, mercury 2. Its charge is 2 here, mercury 2 chloride. Its formula is HgCl2. This is insoluble. Remember, lead chloride is insoluble salt, but if water is hot, in hot water, lead chloride is soluble. Going towards next page, you can take a screenshot of that page. Here, the soluble salt. I am going to write soluble salt here, insoluble salt here, insoluble salt here, and here a central line. This is soluble salt, this is insoluble salt. So majority of carbonates are insoluble. Remember guys, majority of carbonates are majority of carbonate salt. Majority of carbonate salt are insoluble. Majority of carbonate salt are insoluble except few. And I am going to write here in column this the name of those carbonate salt that are insoluble. That are soluble. Like sodium carbonate is soluble salt. Sodium carbonate is soluble salt. Then potassium carbonate is soluble salt. Potassium carbonate is soluble salt. Then ammonium carbonate. Ammonium carbonate. Sodium carbonate, potassium carbonate, ammonium carbonate, they are soluble salt, and all other carbonate salt are insoluble. So guys, this is about today's topic. And if you want to ask any question, if you want to suggest your topic, you can contact me. Thank you so much for watching. Okay, goodbye.